Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2025. The word for 2025 is encouragement. January 2025 marks my 40 years of being in the car business. Can you believe that? 40 years. At the end of 1982, I was playing soccer, and there was a hole in the soccer field. And in that hole, I got stuck in that hole and fractured my ankle. So that's 1982. So I was just sitting there figuring out, what am I going to do with my life? I have a passion for cars. So I said in January of 1985, I was going to do something. I was just going to get up and just do something. January of 1985 comes along, and I had a Pontiac Phoenix. I took that Pontiac Phoenix and I drove from Ohio all the way to New York. I sold it in New York to a wholesaler. I had the title. From there, I flew to Germany on an airline called World Airways. Now, mind you, I had no clue what I was doing. I just had this idea in my mind, Obi, you got to do something to jump into the car business. Just do it. So I flew to Germany, and obviously I went to school in Switzerland, so I was pretty proficient in the German language. I show up in Frankfurt. When I show up in Frankfurt, the snow was up to my waist. It's the middle of winter, January of 1985. So I went from used car lot to used car lot in the middle of the snow, walking, probably for like 3 hours. And then I found the car that I was looking for, a BMW 323i Alpina. So I talked to the guy, I said, excuse me, well, auf Deutsch, in German, I said, ich möchte diese BMW kaufen. He said, what? And I said, I want to buy this BMW in German. He said, sprichst du Deutsch? Meaning, do you speak German? And I said, naturally. He's like, man, what is this guy doing here? Speaking German to me and trying to buy this car. So him and I made a deal. I bought the car, and I shipped it to Baltimore, Maryland. So I went and got a motel room in Baltimore for like 2 weeks, waiting for this ship to dock. And I got a motel room that was like $20 a night. I think $25 a night. It was a POS, but that's fine. $25 a night. So I'm there thinking, what am I going to do? The car arrives. I take that car and I drive all the way to California. I spent $3,000 for that car. $500 for my airplane ticket round trip on World Airways, and another $500 to ship it. And it wasn't in a container. They just threw it on a boat. So I drive to California in this $3,000 BMW, straight to LA. I get to LA, I drive it around for a bit, and I sold it for $13,000. That's what I did. And that was the beginning of my automotive career. So the message that I have for you, the message that I have for those of you that are out there, the word for 2025, the word for 2025 is encouragement. I had no encouragement. And what I found out as I got older, when I had children, what's more powerful than money is encouragement. So during this process, when I did not know what to do, I just kept encouraging myself, And then, you obviously question yourself and you obviously doubt yourself. So when I picked this car up in Baltimore and I'm heading out to LA, I took, I think, the Highway 70. Highway 70 cuts through Colorado. It cuts through the Rocky Mountains, I get to Denver and I start climbing up this, climbing up the mountain from Denver. And mind you, I'm heading west. The snow was so bad that I turned around after about 30 minutes and I drove back down to Denver and I sat at a Denny's. And I said, and I looked at that map and I'm like, what do you do? Do we take a southern route? I'm like, take the risk, Obi. So I continued. Well, as I was climbing into the Rockies, and mind you, I'm heading west from Denver, Colorado, the snow got worse and worse and worse and worse, and I couldn't even see. But I kept encouraging myself to keep going. So it got so bad that every 10 minutes, I had to pull over, wipe my headlights, and then keep going. However, there was a minivan in front of me, and there was another car behind me, so we're all going together. The minivan pulled over. I pulled over in the car behind me. We pulled over to clean our headlights because the snowfall was so heavy. As we're in the middle of the Rockies, we see a guy laying in the middle of the highway, bloody. His face was totally disfigured. He got into a massive accident and hit the wall of the mountain, and he hit the wall of the mountain so hard, he went through the windshield, hit the wall of the mountain, and was laying on the road bleeding to death. Well, the minivan in front of me were two men. They were both doctors. So I got in my being back. I ran out. We're trying to help him. Oh, it was a freaking horror show. So at this moment, I'm questioning myself. Golly, Obi, I mean, are you sure you're doing the right thing? Should you turn around and go back? I mean, what are you doing? I took a pillow out of the car, and I put his head on the pillow. I took a blanket out of my car and put a blanket over him, and then the car behind me, he had already left. He went straight down to the next town to call, for an ambulance. The ambulance started making its way up. Cars are starting to come slowly, and an 18-wheeler comes, and the 18-wheeler just locks up his brakes, and he's about to take all of us over the side of this mountain. So the police finally show up, stop the traffic. The traffic wasn't heavy, it was very light, but the snowfall was unbelievable. I mean, we couldn't see. So then I told everybody, hey, listen, there's nothing I can do here. I'm not a doctor. Do you mind if I leave? Both doctors said, keep going. So I'm driving. Mind you, I'm headed to LA, and I'm thinking, golly, Obi, are you doing the right thing? You went to Germany, you bought this car. Are you going to be able to sell it? Which I did, which I mentioned. But what I did do is I encouraged myself. So what I will tell you, my message for you for 2025 is very simple. If you're a parent, encourage your kids. If you're just a regular person, encourage your friends, encourage your relatives. Just lift them up, because encouragement, I found out, is more valuable than money. Encouragement is what jump starts that propulsion system in every human's body to lift them up and let them say, let me try. So that's what I learned as a youngster. And that's what I understand now that I'm old. So for those of you out there who feel that you don't have enough encouragement, contact me. I wasn't given encouragement, but I got a lot of encouragement to give. Happy New Year and happy 2025.